33-year-old Lila stood in front of her closet, debating whether to wear the sparkly gold dress she had bought on impulse last summer. It was bold, eye-catching, and completely out of her comfort zone. But this was the last night of the year, a chance to leave her ordinary life behind for a few hours. Lila lived alone in a cozy apartment on the edge of the city. She was fiercely independent, proud of her career as a graphic designer, and unapologetically single. Yet, as the clock ticked closer to midnight on New Year's Eve, she couldn't shake the longing for something different. Something memorable. The invitation to the party had come from Maya, her adventurous colleague, who insisted Lila stop hibernating and come meet new people. The party was at a rooftop bar with fairy lights strung across the skyline, music booming, and promises of champagne towers. After a long debate, Lila slipped on the gold dress, added a touch of red lipstick, and stepped out of her comfort zone and her apartment. The party was everything she'd imagined, vibrant and buzzing with energy. Maya introduced her to a kaleidoscope of strangers, an aspiring poet, a salsa instructor, and a tech entrepreneur who passionately explained cryptocurrency for 20 minutes. Lila listened, laughed, and felt more alive than she had in months. It was nearly midnight when she wandered to the edge of the rooftop, seeking a quiet moment. The city sparkled below her, and the chilly wind was a welcome contrast to the warmth of the party. As she leaned on the railing, a voice behind her said, "Beautiful view, isn't it?" She turned to see a man about her age, dressed casually but with an easy charm. He introduced himself as Ethan, a travel photographer. They talked about everything from dream destinations to embarrassing childhood stories. Time seemed to blur. When the countdown began, Maya appeared, pulling Lila back into the crowd. The rooftop erupted with cheers and confetti as fireworks lit up the sky. Lila felt a tug on her arm and turned to find Ethan holding out a glass of champagne. "To new beginnings," he said, his eyes warm and hopeful. Lila smiled. The gold dress, the party, the strangers, they had all been worth it. As she clinked glasses with Ethan, she realized she had just created a memory that would outshine any quiet night at home. For the first time in years, she felt like the world was full of possibilities. And the best part? The night wasn't over yet. The rooftop party had reached its peak. Lila found herself swept up in the rhythm of the music and the infectious energy of the crowd. After toasting with Ethan, she felt a rare spark of excitement, a sense that maybe tonight could be more than just another fleeting moment. Ethan wasn't in a rush to leave her side. He listened intently as Lila talked about her work as a graphic designer, and she, in turn, was captivated by his stories of traveling to remote corners of the world. He shared anecdotes about photographing sunsets in Patagonia and capturing the chaos of street markets in Marrakesh. "Have you ever traveled like that?" Ethan asked, his gaze steady. Lila hesitated. "Not really. I've always wanted to, but something always gets in the way: work, life, fear." Ethan smiled. "Fear's the easiest excuse. Trust me, it fades as soon as you take the first step." Something in his words lingered, stirring a restless curiosity in her. As the music slowed and couples filled the dance floor, Ethan held out his hand. "One dance before the year's officially over." Lila chuckled nervously. "I'm not great at dancing." "Neither am I," he admitted, "but I promise not to step on your toes." She took his hand, feeling a surprising sense of ease. The music was soft, and the city lights twinkled around them like a scene from a movie. For the first time in a long while, Lila wasn't overthinking every move or word. She was simply enjoying the moment. When the song ended, Ethan didn't let go of her hand right away. "You know," he said, "the best part of New Year's is how open-ended it is. You get to decide what happens next." Lila raised an eyebrow, curious. "And what do you think happens next?" Ethan grinned. "You tell me. Coffee next week. Or maybe something more adventurous, like planning a trip to a place neither of us has been." Lila's instinct was to laugh it off, to retreat into her comfortable world of predictable routines. But something about the night, the magic of the fireworks, the spontaneity of the party, and the spark in Ethan's eyes, made her pause. "How about we start with coffee?" she said, surprising herself. Ethan's grin widened. Fair enough. Coffee it is. As the crowd began to thin and the party wound down, Lila felt a strange but exhilarating mix of emotions. For the first time in years, the new year didn't feel like a continuation of the same old story. It felt like the beginning of something entirely new. Walking back to her apartment later that night, Lila glanced at her reflection in a shop window. The gold dress shimmered faintly in the dim light, and she realized it had been the perfect choice. Bold, bright, and unapologetic, just like the year she hoped to create for herself. Over the next few days, the memory of the New Year's Eve party lingered in Lila's mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that meeting Ethan was more than just a chance encounter. But as the city settled back into its usual rhythm, doubt crept in. What if he didn't actually mean it? What if coffee was just a polite way of ending the night? Then, on a chilly Wednesday morning, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. Hey, Lila. This is Ethan from New Year's Eve. Still up for that coffee? Or should I just send a postcard from somewhere exotic? She laughed out loud, her heart lifting. He remembered. They agreed to meet at a quirky cafe downtown, one with mismatched chairs, shelves of books, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. Lila arrived early, nervous but excited. Ethan walked in moments later, a scarf slung casually around his neck, and greeted her with a warm smile. As they sipped their drinks, the conversation flowed effortlessly. Ethan talked about his upcoming photography project in Iceland, and Lila shared her dreams of designing a travel-inspired art series. Their interests overlapped in unexpected ways, and for the first time, Lila began to see her own passions through a different lens, one where fear and hesitation didn't hold her back. Toward the end of their coffee date, Ethan leaned forward. So, I've been thinking. You said you've always wanted to travel but never took the leap. What if this year is the year you finally do it? Lila blinked, caught off guard. What, just like that? Pack a bag and go. Why not, he said, his eyes sparkling. I'm leaving for Iceland in 2 weeks. It's breathtaking, and honestly, it's the kind of place that makes you feel alive. Come with me. Her heart raced. The idea was absurd, impulsive, and completely unlike her. Yet, as she sat there in the cozy cafe, the thought of saying no felt like a betrayal of the person she was trying to become, the bold, adventurous woman who wore gold dresses and danced on rooftops. I'll think about it, she said, trying to sound composed. Ethan grinned. That's all I ask. For the next week, Lila wrestled with the idea. She made lists of pros and cons, consulted friends who were both excited and skeptical, and stared at photos of Icelandic landscapes online until her eyes blurred. Finally, on a quiet Sunday morning, she made her decision. She called Ethan, her voice steady but her heart pounding. I mean, she said. His laughter on the other end of the line was pure delight. You won't regret it. 2 weeks later, Lila found herself boarding a plane to Iceland, her nerves overshadowed by an electric sense of anticipation. As the flight took off, she glanced out the window, watching the city disappear beneath the clouds. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just imagining a different story. She was living it. And as the journey unfolded, Lila realized that saying yes to adventure, to change, to possibility, was the best decision she'd ever made.